It is very expensive to be alive right now. For the majority of folks attempting to get the basics, food, water, and safety, there is a lot of day-to-day insecurity. Arj is a gig economy worker struggling to make ends meet. But then he finds a job with a very rich man. And this chance encounter leads to good fortune. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. This is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Good Fortune. Good Fortune, written and directed by Aziz Ansari, starring Seth Rogen, Aziz Ansari, Keke Palmer, Sandra Oh, and Keanu Reeves. And for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in our show notes. It is just me today. Good Fortune is about a gig economy worker who was hired to be a very wealthy man's assistant. The gig economy worker, played by Aziz Ansari, is struggling very hard with his life, and he is looking for some sort of relief, if you will. And Keanu Reeves plays an angel whose entire realm of responsibility is to stop people from texting and driving. And Seth Rogen is the wealthy man that Aziz finds himself working for. At some point in the movie, Aziz and Seth Rogen switch places, and due to the influence of the angel Gabriel, played by Keanu Reeves, and as a result, Seth Rogen is now a gig economy worker and assistant to Aziz Ansari, who is now a very wealthy man. It's a comedy, which, if that's not obvious from the names that I said, you now know because I told you. Keke Palmer is also in the movie, and she plays a love interest for Aziz Ansari, and they both play the role very well. I really liked this movie. I think it would be very easy for a film like this, which is made by folks who are all very wealthy. Aziz Ansari got money, Seth Rogen got money, Keke Palmer got money, Sandra Oh got money, Keanu Reeves has money. But the film is done with such care and attention and accuracy about the wealth gap, because that's essentially what this movie is. It is commentary on the wealth gap. Essentially, what this film does that other films like this, like say Trading Places, don't do, is it basically plays into the idea of, if you were to switch places with a rich person, just because you learned some sort of cartoonish lesson, i.e., if you are Ebenezer Scrooge and you switch places with a poor person, would you learn the lesson, or would you just want to be rich again? And essentially, a large portion of the movie is everyone coming to the conclusion, at some points in a very hilarious way, that being poor, and actually not even being poor, not being rich sucks. Essentially, this entire setup, all of capitalism, pushes us to want to be rich, to basically try to find comfort in working as hard as we can to obtain as much as we can. And what I found surprising was that when Aziz Ansari switches places with Seth Rogen, the movie does not let this idea off the hook. It basically says, why would I want to be poor again if I were rich now, especially in this society, which I felt like was a very audacious position to take because it's honest. It's very honest because there's so many people that at the level that we're at now would claim to say, when I get rich, I will do X, Y, and Z for my friends, for my family, for poor folks, whatever. And this movie is basically putting its money where its mouth is in a very significant way that I just really enjoyed watching. And I think at one point there's a character who I will not reveal too much, but at one point there's a character who is going through the process of discovering what it's like to actually have to get a second job, have to get a third job, figure out how to pay bills, how expensive it is to be poor. They get their car towed due to unpaid parking tickets, and they find out that they have to pay all the tickets and the impound fee and the tow fee, and the impound fee increases every single day. So it's expensive to be poor. And as they're experiencing it, every time we see this character, they're just a little bit more stressed out, and they depict this in ways that were funny and the audience laughed at. But I found myself watching this and not laughing nearly as much, not because it's not funny. It is funny, but because it was hitting the nail on the head. It was so accurate that it felt like I was giving like those types of laughs as opposed to like big belly laughs. I had a couple of big belly laughs, but the movie is just, it rings the bell about the wealth gap just over and over again. For most people that know about it, this is not going to be a surprise to you, but you might find yourself pleasantly amused at the way that they tell this story. I think the only other way that I know how to compare this is if you enjoyed The Good Place, you will likely also enjoy this, because this is some of the same work they were doing in The Good Place. How much good do I have to do to make it into heaven? Even if I did everything right, if I crossed every T and dotted every I, would that be enough to make it into The Good Place? And this film is the same way. It's saying you now have wealth. Now, what are you going to do about it? It's funny because it also, because the runtime is a tight 90, and I mean a tight 90, even the credits weren't long. This, by the time I get to the end, it puts me in a position where I could just sit and think about what I just watched. You know, like I'm not worn out from the time that I watched the film. It has a beginning, middle, and an end. And even the parts that I started to wonder, are they going too far with this? As I started to think that, it switches. And that is just, that was satisfying to me. That was very, very satisfying to me. I don't want to talk too much about this without talking about Aziz Ansari. He had an incident that came up when he was accused of, let's say, improper treatment during a date. He did not behave so well during a date. And it was kind of lumped up along with every other Me Too story that happened at the time. And of course, upon closer examination, everyone agreed that this wasn't exactly Me Too as much as it was, Aziz, please do better when you go on dates. Please read the room when you're on a date, that type of thing. Y'all can read about that story. As a result, there was a lot of projects that Aziz had that kind of went up in smoke. And I was a person that I'd seen Aziz live a few times. I watched all his stand-ups. I enjoyed everything that he was on television-wise, Parks and Recreation. And I remember, and then of course, Master of None, which was an excellent show on Netflix. And after all of this happened with him, he kind of receded from the public eye and took some time. And I saw his stand-up when he came back into the public eye. And I remember he basically was talking about what the situation was like for him. He apologizes, and he's kind of apologized a lot about everything that had happened. And I was really interested to see him get back to work, get back to the thing that he does well, because he does good work. Master of None is a very contemplative series that really impacted me. I really didn't care for the Lena Waithe season, but before that, the seasons that were focused on Aziz, I really enjoyed. And I guess I'm saying that to say, for this to be the piece of work that is kind of his signature work since those days, it's a good piece for him to come back with. And he's still as sharp as I remember him being. He's still funny. He acts in it, obviously, and he directed it. Did a great job. There's a lot of great shots in this film. It's written well. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I think, again, because the runtime is so short at 90 minutes, it's really hard pressed for me to find someone that I wanted to show this movie to and not easily have them walk away saying, oh yeah, that was good. At the bare minimum, I think they're saying, oh, that was cute. That was cute. So yeah, I mean, I guess the question is now, did I like it as much as I liked Sinners, which I gave 5 stars to? And man, that's actually a tough question, because I really enjoyed Sinners, but I also really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. Whew. With all of that being said, I'm going to give this film 4.5 stars. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I think I like Sinners just a little bit more. And I do think when they get to the ending of Good Fortune, there was a direction I wish they had taken, and they didn't. I think that it ends in probably the most peaceable way, but not necessarily in a way that would have been the most satisfying to me. And I think there was an avenue for this movie to end in a more satisfying way, but they didn't quite take that route. So that's the only thing I'll knock 0.5 stars off for. Other than that, I enjoyed this film. I'd watch this if it were a series. It's not. It's a movie. It's only 90 minutes. So yeah, 4.5 of 5 stars. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Ron Studios. I mixed this episode. Today is Tuesday. I went to a press screening. I had to be here I like to get here around like 6:30, 6:45. Movie starts at 7. And I got here probably at 6:45, and I sat in one of the only empty good seats in the theater next to this guy who was kind of making a lot of mouth noises and smelt a little strong, if you will. And I guess I would have made it sooner, but this theater in rush hour is about 50 minutes to an hour from my home as a result. I could have waited till the weekend, but I would have had to pay for those tickets. This was a press screening, so this was the screening that I needed to go to. That is the type of calculus that goes into every decision that I make when it comes to leaving the theater. It's not easy. It's a labor of love, but it is labor. If that means something to you, you should become a patron. You can go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater. When you join Patreon, you get access to early releases of each week's podcast episode. You'll get them on Sunday when everyone else gets them on Monday, or this past week, which was a holiday, everyone got it on Tuesday, and Patreon members still got it on Sunday. So that's 2 days earlier than everyone else, and that'll happen every time I edit. As soon as I'm done editing the episode, the first thing I do is post it to Patreon, and it's commercial free there. There's no ads on there. You get access to I Don't Like That. I'm going to post a new episode this week. You get access to On the Couch, which is a video podcast now. The next episode I will be doing is The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger in order to get ready for the new Running Man with Glenn Powell. And you get the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping Leaving the Theater continue to exist. It has been a joy finding out ways to give more to patron members. So I appreciate y'all. I just need y'all to recognize that this is a labor of love, but it is labor. If that means something to you, go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater or go to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Good Fortune, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads, or Letterboxd at Oh It's Big Ron. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studio shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.